Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Phoenix Trading Strategies trading room this morning, December 8th, 2014. Do apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but let's begin. Let's go over the disclaimer first before anything, and then we'll go see a few charts and see what interest we find today. Future stocks and spot currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures, stocks, and Forex markets. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell futures. No stocks or Forex. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in the website. Past performance of indicators or methodology are not necessarily indicative of future results. Being that said and done, if you haven't had a look at the website, you should. There is a tremendous amount of great information that you will find. I promise it will be very, very interesting. Let's look at the calendar real quickly to see if there were any news today, this morning, that impacted. And the only thing that came out, quite honestly, was the Canadian building permits and housing starts. Beyond that, there's only news today for labor market conditions index, which is at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and that'll be the end of the news. However, don't discard the fact that there is always a reason for the market makers to move the market. And so we're going to take a look at that right now so that you can see basically what is happening and why we should be paying attention. Now, right now, for instance, a lot of these trades have already occurred. So at this point, with a market analyzer, when we get an alert, for instance here with the Euro New Zealand, and we're about to look at that, it says Analyze Me. Well, Analyze Me tells you that they're very close to trend stops. So we're going to pull a chart up right now so that you can see what I mean. Okay, that's not the one. This is the one. So what it means is that it is about 10 ticks or 10 pips away from this level right here, which is a trend stop. Now I'm going to go over the indicators very briefly. These are trend dots, and you will find them aligning with the candlesticks. When you see a gold one, it means it's transitioning from bullish to bearish, and you can see them go red. Now these little dots right here are what I consider, or what are, a trend stop. The purple bars are what we call high frequency bars because they've put in a significant amount of volume. These purple dots are pivots, or reversal bars in this case, and they're very key as well because they're very important to the theory. Then you have basically these dots, and these are called the power dots. Let me get the pointer. The importance of these dots is very significant because anytime that you see them appear, they will either serve as a signal that there is momentum and volume about to enter the market, and that there's going to be a move. May not be a significant move, but there will be a move. Now here on the 15-minute, you can see that there was really no signal yesterday, but actually there was, because I remember seeing this on the 10-minute, and there's two time frames where we use this specifically. The power dots are very effective on the 15 and on the 10-minute. And you can see here on the 10-minute how they appeared at the end of the day on Friday, which made them a continuation move today, Sunday, or yesterday afternoon when the market opened. I was in a webinar, or a presentation yesterday, and we were looking at the Euro New Zealand and Euro Aussie. And I said that this would continue to go long, and it did. Let me show you how long this move was. Basically, it went up 132 pips. That's a phenomenal trade for one afternoon. But if you would have seen that they opened, number one, gap to the upside, and number two, that they were trading above this level that had previously been plotted, and then you saw that they plotted these two power dots here, but momentum and the trend were already in the direction, this was a clean example that they were going to break through this level. And most of the times when they do plot this way, they are what I consider to be basically support. They become sometimes your support and resistance levels, which is very, very key. And that's one of the things that many times we forget to look at is levels, because we don't really understand why it's happening. Now, if we were to go back in history, I can tell you that as soon as they traded above this level, and you can see why, they basically just ran to the hill. Historically, this level has been highly impacted by them. Now, of course, during the middle of the night, during the European session, they came down, and you can see they plotted again and they went long. They never broke above this level. They came down again, except this time, instead of, even though it plotted higher, instead of using it as a support, as soon as it started getting closer, they breached it. And then they came down again. Then they came right back up to retest, but never again to this level. And once these started to plot, that was basically a signal that they were going to come down. Why? Because they were plotting lower than the high of the day. And at the same time, price action never really challenged it again. So this was a great example. However, the way that I teach you to use this specific trade or to take this trade is at the open. Why? Because no one is really trading at the open. And the only ones that are really trading are banks that need to rebalance their books. Now, for instance, you see this data box right here. But you can see that the volume, and I'll get the crosshairs actually. The volume, for instance, in this specific, in this specific candle right here, was pretty much even. 14 million long, 14 million short, based on what the banks were bidding and offering, and there was only a difference of 900,000, or almost a million, which was nothing. This next candle was 7.7 million long, 6.8 million short. Again, a very small difference and reflected. But look at the volume here. Very minimal. This next candle, 10 million long, 7.5 million short, 2.9 million net long, and it moved. This next one, 36 million long, 31 million short. So even right now on the live edge of the market, I can tell you that right now they currently have 9.9 million long, 11 million short, 10 million long, now 11 million short. So on the live edge of the market, we can see what volume is. Now it's even, 11 million long, 11 million short. But we're not seeing a tremendous amount of movement here. So what does that tell you? When you see that there is hardly no movement, then basically that's telling you that the bulls pretty much are giving up. Now it's 12 million short, 11 million long. So now you have 1 million to the short side, and you don't really have much action here. So this volume indicator is very, very crucial, because when you're at these types of levels right here, it becomes your guide as well. It confirms that, number one, they are not going to drive price action any higher, even though they may put a tremendous amount of volume into it by bidding and offering it, but when it balances out and nets out, it's really very minimal. So the amount of quotes that they're pushing through doesn't necessarily mean that those are the trades that they're going to follow through with. They're just quoting. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, if we go, let's try and look at another example. The euro pound. Let's see how this one plots. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's telling me, analyze me. Analyze me. And that one was for the euro pound. So let's continue with this one. This one's a very interesting, actually the Euro New Zealand and the Euro Pound. Now this one, for instance, the reason it's signaling is that even though it had a very strong short trend to the downside on the 10-minute, it's starting to plot right here. Now, when you see a power dot start to plot, that doesn't necessarily mean jump in the trade. Number one, because they've already initiated. Number two, because you're trying to identify this level. Now, there isn't quite a bit of volume right now. It's been volume itself, as you can see from the beginning of the session yesterday, has been very, very light. However, look at how they move this market. Now, you're going to say, well, how would you have analyzed this trade to go short? Good question. Number one, what I do is normally I go down to the 30-minute. And the reason I go to the 30-minute is because it allows me to see historically how these power dots have traded. Now, if I see, for instance, in the 30-minute that this one is plotting in the high time frame, guess what? I am not waiting to take this short. I'm taking this trade short. This started to plot yesterday, literally after the open, about probably 3 or 4 hours later. But look at this, all afternoon, all evening, and the reason I say that is because I'm here in California. It plotted, and then finally it came down. And when it came down, it basically just gave you the trade. Now this was, if I'm not mistaken, at the midnight hour yesterday. Let's see. Let's try and open this up. Let's see what time this thing kicked in. Yeah, because this was the open. 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And yeah, actually this was during the European session. But you can see in the higher time frame it plotted before coming down. That's something that once they start to plot, especially in a high time frame, you pretty much know that they're going to really drive that specific currency down. Now the reason why I compress this is because I want to know historically if this level has been repeated. And if it hasn't, in this case it has, as you can see right here. So normally what I do when I start to see that they plot is that I go back and I start to draw lines. And the reason I draw these lines is because it helps me identify these levels. Now this isn't going to take you long. In actuality, I find this to be very, very easy because I do it now so quickly, of course. But in many cases, you'll discover that by doing this, you're actually going to see something even more significant than you ever thought. Now this level right here is more of a bullish, and you can see why, because here historically, even though you didn't have any dots, but you can see basically that once they broke above this level, they ran to the upside. Now let's try and compress this down a little bit more, see if we are able to see this level here. And actually I'm going to have to open this up just a tad bit and go back historically. We'll leave this here and just start to scroll back to see where it actually plotted in the past. This is slow motion, so I do apologize. We're going through a lot of this chart. So now we're coming to an understanding of whether this level had repeated itself at that price point. And as you can see, it has not. However, historically, you'll see that when they've traded around here, it's either gone long or short. So my assessment on this one is that these levels were, this level for instance is a very powerful level because you can see it repeated itself here. And we'll draw this line because it's very important for you to see that, so that you can compare what it looks like now that they've changed, because they never use the same price point, but they do trade around it. And that's something that is very interesting. So we'll change the color on this one because this one should be a red one. And the whole purpose of this exercise is to basically, is what I call just doing your homework. It's nothing more and nothing less. This price point here was bullish. Not going to analyze you yet, but I will analyze you soon. We got another alert, but we'll take a look at this first. This was more of a bullish move here on this one, so this one will be green. And as tedious as this looks, believe me, it is something very, very simple to do. Nothing complicated, but it does give you an idea of what is happening in the future. So now, for instance, you've outlined these levels. Now, this level is new, and normally when something like this happens, because it was pretty much at a distance, you could say that this one was pretty much a bullish line as well. And you'll identify these levels because when you start to identify these levels, two things start to happen. You start to see that what the market's actually telling you, or what the banks, oh no, forgive me, or what the algorithms that the banks are using are starting to tell you, seriously, my goodness, is that they are, in actuality, changing the levels because they won't use the same ones in a consistent manner, and you'll discover that. This one here was more of a long, but yeah, it's more of a long one here. So again, we'll make this one a bullish one. I like using the dots, makes it easier. And now that we've done that, now we can go back to the smaller time frame, and you'll be able to see how this really looks. This is, you know, the perception of the trade is everything. Now here, for instance, this has become, stop, this has become here its support level, and look how they hit it right on the money. Most of the time, you will discover that whenever these power dots appear, you want to outline them and basically use them again, because they're going to tell you, in actuality, where price is heading. And you'll usually have a day and a half that they will repeat themselves. But once they repeat themselves, you're pretty much solid, because then at that point you know for a fact that they are not going to breach that level, because it's a price point that has been identified in the past, and they tend to drive a tremendous amount of momentum and volume when they get there, because they protect those price points. So it's very crucial to understand that. Now that we've seen that, it allows us to basically open it up more, and we're able to analyze this one. So let's go, come on, further, 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 further. There we go. Let's see, why are you being, okay, so Euro Pound, Euro New Zealand. Yeah, see, it's starting to basically, it's signaling, number one, that it's very close to the power dots. Now, number two, because momentum is to the upside, what will happen here, whenever they start trading close to it, the way they are here, and you see what they've done here, that whenever they came close to it, they bounced back up to the ATR, and then they went down. In this case, this is a trend stop. So whenever it hits this level, what will happen is it'll come down. So anticipate the same thing. That right here, they haven't really retraced or bounced back, and they may just go right through it. But I like to wait and be patient, only because you see the volume level right here. This volume is telling you a lot of information, and we'll go back to the pointer. I will pull out the data box so that you can see, and I will give you the information that is being portrayed. So here, for instance, in this candle, you had, in this 10-minute, 5.4 million long, 17 million short that they offered. So you have a difference of 11 million now cumulative. Now here, for instance, you only have 2 million long, 32 million short, and so of course, now 33 million short. So it's pretty much a negative candle right now. But look at the volume. It's once you see it goes below the mean, that's a tremendous amount of volume. But now there's 38 million short, really 3 million long, which is nothing, but not a lot of volume, or not a lot of price action, momentum driving this. So I'm actually going to be very patient and see, where this ends, because if it retraces right back here, this will, since it's already starting to plot to the upside, it'll probably meet around this level at 78.50. And it's at 78.57. So you're talking 7 pips. So for me, that's quite a bit of risk. Look, 46 million to the short. And I don't see any movement. Now 1.7 million long, 1.9 million long. And you're seeing the volume as it plots on the live edge of the market. You can also see it here. So here, for instance, this thing is really negative. Look at how negative it is. 43 million, 47, and nothing. 42 million net, 47 million short, and volume or momentum and price action is doing nothing to this. It's just holding this back. So what this tells you, it gives you a different perspective of how they're using their volume, which is very important. Because what happens is that now you can understand on the live edge of the market whether it's really a bearish candle or whether it's really a bullish candle. Now this candle right here was a bullish candle with bearish volume. A little illogical. You had 5.4 million bid to the upside and you had 17 million offered on the short. But this is a bullish candle. 11 million net short. Now the power dots started to appear here. So yes, normally I would actually stay away from this trade to the upside because I want to see where it's going to come back and retrace, because it will retrace. Now, right now on this candle, you have it at 51 million short, 16 million long, a difference of 34 million, and they haven't moved it. I mean, if it's moved maybe a pip and a half, it's too much. So when I see something like this, it tells me that what will happen is that you're going to see something like this. See how the volume here was very low and then it started to plot higher and then it just went? And then it really just went. Well, I think we're going to see a very similar scenario. So normally when I see that they're trading like this and the volume is being displayed in this form or fashion, it's just a matter of time before they break through this level. Now remember, one of the things that we've identified with this system is that whenever these power dots, these gold dots start to appear, usually what will happen is that they will actually begin to break through this price, and they will go to the next level, which in this case they'd have to come up from 78.56 to 78.70, because that is the next level. Now they bounced right off of this one that plotted previously. So at least you know that you have a range between 78.46 and 78.70. Now here you're in the middle So right now, I would actually wait a little further for it to tell me if they're really going to drive more volume and momentum to the upside. I'm not really convinced yet, so I would actually hold. But I know that they're setting up. Normally, you're going to get between 20 and 40 minutes to actually assess the risk of the direction that this trade is heading. And once you assess that risk, then let's say you did decide to go long. Right now it's trading at 78.56. Your risk would be below 78.46. If anything, it would be maybe 12 pips. 12 pips is not a lot to put at risk when you know exactly how they're playing the game. So that's one of the things that we have to take into consideration when analyzing these charts. Now here, for instance, on the 15-minute, they're actually saying trade with me and analyze me. Let's see why it's doing it on the 15-minute. Give it a second. Okay, because it's bouncing off of this trend stop. And here, for instance, is that right? Hold on, it's telling me trade with me, and I'm trying to figure out with who. Euro Aussie. So we'll take a look at that one next. Okay, so here, for instance, as you saw, the power dots were plotting right here, which is basically where price is currently trading off of. Now, if it uses this as a support level and bounces right off of it, which more likely it will, and we'll throw a line right there. Change that color because we'll use a red one. Because anytime that it's traded below that, it's gone short. Not yet, buddy. I'll analyze you in a second. So if it breaks below this, then you know it's going to come back down. But if not, you can see that it's already starting to trend to the upside. And by starting to trend to the upside, what's happening here is that on the 15-minute, you see the trend dots already in transition. You see the sentiment, which was extremely bearish, now basically slowing down here and starting to change to become positive, which is exactly what we're doing. You can see how volume here is starting to trade above the mean. So it's been netting on a positive manner, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. However, liquidity is still low because we should see huge bars like we have here, and we haven't. You know, liquidity has been, for some reason, light, but look at the move that it made overnight. And so this is one of the things that you have to take into consideration. So from this point right now, I would actually hold off. Now that we know these levels, you can actually go down to the 5-minute. You know, normally I don't look for my entries on the 10 and 15, but I will look for them on the 5-minute. And here, for instance, see how they broke through here? This is important to me now, because now we also plotted this level, but as soon as they broke through price here, this is a 5-minute. This tells, and it was trading above this level, which was 10 pips difference. Really, hardly. In this case, no, this was like maybe. Let's see. Let's change this. This was 78.52. This is 78.46. So 7 pips difference, and you can see momentum. The trend line is starting to follow to the upside. But again, I'm of the strong belief that it is not going to kick in quite yet until it comes down a little further, test this level, or this level again, 78.52, and then goes long. And that's just, you know, or basically bounces off of 78.54, which you're talking about a 2 to 5 pip difference, which is very, very minimal. So from that perspective, am I interested in this trade? Yes. It's a contender. Look at what happened here. It took 4 of them, and then it came down. And this was off the 5-minute. So if you would have seen this level on the 30-minute, which it plotted really nicely on the 30-minute, I mean, wow. If you see that these plot on a higher time frame, these power dots, then you can go down to the smaller minutes. Look at that. I mean, this was just, it didn't get any better than this. So as you started to go down in time frames, you could start to see that that level was highly respected as a resistance level, and that eventually they were going to come down. But more importantly is that even though you identified this level, you know, now you start to look for the power dots in the smaller time frames to say, okay, wait a minute, when is this actually going to unfold? And that's the one thing that the higher time frame will not give you, but the smaller time frames will. So you'll be adjusting to it as it presents itself. Now here it presented itself in the 10-minute when they took this short. But look now, see how now it's starting to become bullish here? The third one, I told you, you only have, once it starts, you got between 20 and 40 minutes before they start to make a move. So let's look at the 5-minute so you can see what happened previously. And dun 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 dun. So this is the 5-minute. Look how it plotted here. It plotted right under this level, which was previously identified, and as soon as this came out, you literally had 20 minutes before it collapsed. And then once it broke through this level, you knew that it was going to go short, and then this one again, and then as soon as this came out, it was no tomorrow because it had to come all the way down. Now we're here. As you can see, they broke through this. They're trading above this level, which is good because that's where we said that it would. And now it has momentum to the upside. Now the question is, will it come all the way up? More than likely it will. It's going to take its sweet time because that's just the way that it's been doing it. But calculate that from this level, it should come up to about 78.69, from 78.56. You know, a good 14, 15 pips isn't too bad. Now, if you were incorporating the moving averages on this, on the 5-minute, that would probably be, I'd like to say that it just broke through the, what is that? The 50 moving average, and it's heading towards the 100 moving average. But if it really breaks to the upside, this thing will go to the 800 moving average, and I'm seeing it in a different chart. I don't like to put them all. If it breaks through that level, the highest it'll go to is 78.85. And the reason I'm saying that is because I do look at MT4. And you see here, you know, I still look at it, but quite honestly, it's not my favorite anymore. So this level is 78.68 at this point. Let's see if it actually gets to that level. 78.64, so it'd be about right here where it would stop. But now you can assess the risk. The risk is that you can put your stop below 78.51 because the trend stops are lining up with this level right here, 78.52. So you can put a 5-pip stop loss. That's it from this level. So if you're from 78, let's say you're 78.51 is your stop loss, and it's trading right now at 78.57, you know, you're not exposing more than 10 pips. And you know that they have to break above this level because they're already in motion. So more than likely, it will continue to the upside. That is, and it'll head to 78.65, but if it breaks above this level, it'll go here to 78.70. And that's not too bad for a morning trade. Not really an exciting trade in the morning because, again, you know, the market is a little slow right now. Most of the movement was during the night. Let's take a look at another example. Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie was very promising last night. This trade was just extreme, you know, unreal. I mean, they really moved. Let me plot Euro Aussie here. Give it a minute. Any questions in the meantime? It's always good to ask questions. Ninja's been acting up today. It's been a little slow. Ooh, this was a great one. We missed it, though. When they were trading off of the power dots right here, you can see basically that they were not coming down, and they went from 147.71 to 147.79. Easy 10 pips. Move to the upside. And that's 5 minute. Now let's see where they're going to take this. What's their next level here? Because it's basically retracing. But that's the one thing that you'll discover, that with the power dots, you're going to find that when they start to plot, price action becomes mobile. Momentum kicks in, and it becomes very, very dangerous for anyone that doesn't pay attention to those levels. Now here, for instance, we're at levels, we're really high in the sky with these levels. They are not in any form or fashion telling us or plotting historically to give us resistance levels. We would have to go to real higher time frames. So, however, this one plotted Friday. As you can see, it served as a support level. So we would have basically drawn the lines to see what was happening, why it was happening, and made our assessment over that. Let's see if we find another level here plotted actually this morning. So this level will repeat itself. But this one was more of a bearish one because as soon as it broke through it, and that's the difference. When you see that they break through these levels, we'll start it from here. You have to assess, was it really a bullish or bearish power dot? And in this case, it was a bearish one. Why? I'll explain in a minute. Because they broke through it. That's why. And it came right back down here. But you knew that they were going to come down here, and they were not going to breach this level, or that this level was going to serve as the supporting level, which it did. Now let's start to go down in the smaller time frames. We'll go to the 15-minute. And let's see what we have here. Well, here on the 15-minute, it plotted here. So this will become its resistance level. And if it breaks above this level, then it should go further. But on the smaller time frames, and then here you can see that it also plotted here. And look, it bounced right off of it when it came down, and then went right back up. Let's see who's, oh, this is this one, the Euro Aussie. Because it's trading very close to it, so it's giving us a signal. Now, again, as you're starting to use these levels, you'll start to define, are they bullish or are they bearish? And it's very easy to determine that. You don't really have to lose a lot of sleep. You just have to assess, was it a bullish tone, or, when it plotted. In this case, yes, because they never broke through it and then they went to the upside. So this one we would change and we would make green. Trading is complicated, but we're trying to simplify it for you. Why? In this case, this level right here, 148.04, make a note of that, will be a very crucial level later in the future, because even though they're going to break right through it, and that's really what's going to happen. They're probably going to go to this level, which is 148.18. You're talking about a move from here, 147.81 to 148.18, not a bad one. But as you go down in the smaller time frames, you start to see and analyze that the perception of the trade changes. Now here, for instance, this is the 10-minute. You see how it plotted here. Now it started to plot here and told you that there was momentum. And remember, I told you they'll usually come down to the trend stop and then bounce right off of it and go right through, which is exactly what they did now. They were going right through it. So the next level is about here, and then it gets here. It'll get to here about 48.13. If it gets to 48.18, I'll be surprised, but it might. But it's already, momentum is to the upside. Now, we're looking at the 10 and 15 minute, but like I said, once I start to get signals, I'll go down to the 5 minute. And on the 5 minute, it'll pretty much confirm the direction that it's heading. And I can even go as low as the 3 minute, but I don't see a need sometimes, because when I see this happen, that it plots right below a bullish level and price action doesn't break below it, then I know I have a trade to the upside, and I've had plenty of time to assess that trade. This started to plot at 5.55, so we're going to draw a line, a vertical line on this, so that vertical, come here, let's change that, then we will put very dark orange on that one, put a solid line. Okay, so they started to plot here on the 5 minute. Let's see what it looks like on the 10 minute. These are little tricks of the trade that you'll learn, because this system is not complicated. This system is very simplistic. There's not a lot of noise, not a lot of indicators. It wasn't meant for that. So as you can see, when it started to plot here in the smaller time frame, right here is when it actually started to make sense to look for it to go bullish. And this is where it started to plot on the 5 minute. So when they started to basically bounce off of this level, it was plotting right here and telling you that momentum was about to enter the market. Let's see and look what it looks like on the 15. So the nice thing about the system is that not only is it giving you time to analyze and assess the market and assess your risk, but at the same time, like right here, you had 30 minutes. This is a 15 minute. So before it plotted on the 5 minute here, you had 30 minutes to really decide if it made sense to go long and if they were going to trade above this level, which is what they did. That's a long time. Now, remember, like I said, once these start to plot, if you go to the smaller time frames, they also serve as resistance levels. So they can either be a support or resistance level. In this case, it was a support level. In this case, it's a resistance level. But if you would have taken the trade based on the information on the 5 minute, and give it a second to plot. You would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would have had 25 minutes to make that decision. And the 30th minute is when it kicked. So let's say you would not have taken this trade, but you definitely could have gotten in at 147.77, and it took it all the way to 147.99. That was a pretty decent trade, about 20 pips. You know, sometimes we want to capture these trades, which are, you know, tremendous moves, but sometimes it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do so, because this move from top to bottom was 104 pips. Well, I'm from the school of thought that if you are tired and you can't trade during the European session because you're here in the US, you're really not going to capture those moves. But with this system, you'll capture 20 pips in the morning, 30, 40 pips in the afternoon at the Asian Open. And so you can easily make 40, 50 pips a day if you follow directions and if you analyze the system properly. But the important thing is that you have time to make that decision. It's not something that you are pressed for time to make a decision. You know, when you're given 10 minutes in the FX notice before a trade actually takes place, that's a lifetime of time and information to make that decision. I like those odds. Those odds work for me. And now you can actually tell and define when they're going to drive momentum and volume into it, something that you didn't have before. To me, that's the most valuable asset of this system. That's the one that makes sense to me. Let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at the pound dollar, because I was looking at this one yesterday, and it looked very, very appealing to me last night. And it went long. So let's give it a second to plot. Okay, excellent. This is the 5-minute, but I want to look at the 15-minute. Any questions? I will take a look at that euro pound trade soon as well to see where it ended up. Now this one, when it plotted during the Asian session, it did come down, and it would have been a very nice trade. And I saw this when I was at my presentation yesterday. It came down as far as 32 pips, not too shabby. You know, as soon as this plotted, you can see that there was a difference. This is 155.77 from 155.85, almost a 10 pip difference. When I see this plot like this, and there is close to a 10 pip difference, I know that they're going to dump the market. They're not going to move a lot, you know, but they'll move a good 30, 40 pips. This was 32 pips that they moved. Not a bad trade, and a very simple trade because the volume was not highly aggressive. So that means that there were only a few banks involved in driving this market down. Now, 32 pips during the Asian session is a very good trade. Now, again, when this kicked in, and we'll put a line right here to see how it plotted in the smaller time frame, because I want to know when that actually happened. We'll leave that line there. We'll put a different color to make it stand out. Okie dokie. Now let's go to the smaller time frames and see what happened. What happened? My son, my 3-year-old says it a lot. What are you doing? What's going on? So when I see a trade and says, analyze me or trade with me, I say, what happened? What are you doing? What's going on? So here, for instance, as you can see, it went from here all the way to here. So it was about 100 pips. Ooh. Let's see if we can identify those levels in 30 minutes. Now, normally it wouldn't have been a trade that I would have taken, and the reason I say that is because I'd be asleep. However, for someone that is in Europe and trading the European session, it might have been a decent trade to look at, a very decent trade to look at. Let's see if we can. Nope, that level is too low. Let's go to a higher time frame. And the nice thing about Ninja is that you can change the time frame from the traditional time frames and go higher and higher. But in this case, we're probably going to go to the 360 minute. And we shall see the value, the benefit of this. Oh boy, we're going to have to open this up. Okay, so here again, we don't really have much to show for. We do have these levels. This one, it's hitting it right now. It's about 56.31, so it's trading very close to it, and if it breaks above it, it'll go long. But it's usually has a tendency to go short from this level. Why? Because they used it and they broke right through it when it did plot. So we'll change the color of this one, make it red. Make it a dot. There we go. So now we have that in place. Let's see, anything else? Not really. No? That would be it in this level. We'll start going down to the smaller time frames again. Let's go to a 60-minute. Trading can be fun, don't you agree? Ooh, trade with me. Where do you want me to trade with you? Trade with you, and that would... Oh, Pound Aussie. Really? Huh, let's take a look at the Pound Aussie. Let's see why it's telling us to trade with it. This is a Pound US. Interesting. Or is it the Pound Yen? I wanted to finish this one. But you can see right here, this level on the 60-minute, see how it's trading right at it and then it goes below it? That tells me that if in the higher time frame they've done that, they may continue to do that in the lower time frame. Pound US. Why is that on the 15-minute? It's trading almost right at it. So let's go to the 15-minute and see what it is doing. That's why. Because it is less than 10, 12 pips away from this trend line right here, this trend stop. That's why it told us to look at it. Okay. So see here, for instance, see how it's been, how at this level they broke, but then they did not continue, and then this pivot gave them away and put them right back down. I don't feel comfortable taking this trade to the upside at all. I think that based on the information that we have, it will more than likely, if this candle closes right now below this level, it'll probably come down. Okay, so this one's the Euro Aussie. Now, here in the in the market analyzer, when the alerts come out, normally what happens is that they'll stay there. This will be here for about 15 minutes. So it'll give you time to really take a look and see what is actually happening. But right now, for instance, I'm not comfortable taking this trade at all until it defines itself either below or above this level. And since I don't have any power dots here in this time frame right now, I am not really interested. So I'll go down to the smaller time frame now and see if I can find a reason that volume and momentum are going to drive this market soon. The answer is I have none right now. No reason. Now, here's where it's crucial to start to look at the volume. If you've identified a level that you feel that they're not going to break, then you can start looking at volume. Here, for instance, they had 104 million bid long, 66 million bid short. 39 million bid long, but it wasn't a bullish candle. Look at that, it's red. However, they did come up and they bounced right off of this level right here. And this candle is 139 million long, 101 million offered short, 38 million net long. This one, which is live edge of the market, you have 4.5 million long, 12 million short, and so of course you have a net right now of 5.5 million to the downside short, but hardly no movement. But they're trading at a level that, like I said, I feel very uncomfortable going long because you have too many long wicks here, and they pulled it right back down to this level. And I don't have at this point any power dots to support my decision to actually take a trade, because I don't think that they're going to drive a lot of momentum or volume. That's the one thing that the power dots do, is that when they start to plot, they actually start to show you that volume or momentum will be drivers. Here we do. Now, the fact that this is trading, and it came down and bounced off of this level, but like I said, this move was really insignificant. 156.19 from this level to 156.25, that's 6 pips. After a move of this level, which was quite a big one actually. Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted the ruler, and basically click, and let's see how high this thing went. That was a 92 pip move. 92 pips. It's the reason why it's telling to analyze me is because it's getting very close to this level on the 15-minute. 15-minute. Oops, a message. Trade with me. So this one here, as you can see, bounced to the upside. Notice you have a trade call service. I do have a trade call service, and right now I haven't implemented it yet because we were trying to get the alert set up. So we're going to be actually implementing that probably within the next week. Just wanted to clarify that. And the reason why is that we're still trying to get all 28 pairs on the market analyzer, so that when we do see trades that set up, we can analyze them quickly and basically tell you, what levels to look for, what entries to look for, what are your exits to look for. So we're going to be implementing that, or starting to implement that next week. It's still a work in progress right now. But I really use that for, or do it for people that have bought the software, because it allows me to guide them through some trades so they can see what's actually happening. But some other people have shown some interest, so I'm probably going to do it. But I'm only going to give 7 trades a month. That's it, and you'll probably get those 7 trades within the first week and a half. Let's take a look at the smaller time frame on this. And what will happen is that the alerts will be sent to the blog. You'll get an email from the blog, and you'll be able to take a look at that. So here, for instance, see, I'm not too comfortable taking this trade long. Like I said, it will, if it doesn't break through this level, 156.30, I'm just not motivated, especially because the high of the day was 156.40. So you're talking about 10 pips, which is not really a strong motivator for me. You know, if I'm not looking at a minimum of 20 to 30 pips, I'm just not motivated to take risk. Even though my risk would be very minimal, it would be 10 pips. That would be my stop loss. But, you know, sometimes at this time of the U.S. session, when there's no news coming out, you don't really have much action. So it sort of makes things a little difficult on that end. Let's take a look and see. But more likely, you know, if it breaks, it could come back right back up to 56.40, maybe break above that. I do want to take a look at the euro pound so we can see how that one ended up playing. And we'll be finishing very, very soon. So see, it did end up breaking and going long, but now it's starting to hold off. Like I said, it broke right through this, which was right below this level. As soon as they traded above this level, they did make a move to the upside. Now, it retracing, don't think that it's going to come exactly back to this level. More likely, it will come back to this level, 178.55, and then may bounce to the upside again. But the pound is starting to drive it, so we could see this come back. If it trades below this level, I'm interested because it'll come down here. So you're looking at 15 pips, maybe 20 pips. The Euro Aussie, were we just looking at that? Let's see. Give it a minute. And I do charge for the alert service, but I do give you access to the room, to the trading room, and that's when I actually do live real-time trading. So 2 days out of the month, we will do European session, which will be Wednesday night for me or Thursday morning Eastern time from 2 a.m. Eastern to 4 a.m. Eastern. Sometimes I'll go an extra hour. And then we will do 2 Asian sessions as well, which will be at the open of the new day, 5 o'clock Eastern to about 8 o'clock Eastern. So I will start to implement that very soon. So the free sessions are Mondays and Fridays, but with the alert service that we're setting up, that one's a paid subscription, and you actually get to trade with me live 4 days out of the week, 4 days out of the month. So you also get some really nice trades because we really come across some really exceptional entries once, you know, we start seeing the power dots plot. So see right now, for instance, this is a pretty much dead duck. I'm not that motivated in this pair. Let's take a look at the pound dollar real quickly and see where that's at. So it looked like it made a jump to the upside real briefly, and it's at the high right now. Come on, don't take your time. You're taking too long. That's the one thing about Ninja. It takes a tremendous amount of, see, told you, they're going to make that move, but it's at the high right now. So it's literally right there. I mean, right there. Usually when it gets to this level, I'm really not that motivated. Like I said, 10 pips can excite certain people. To me, it just, if I'm risking 10 to make 10, I don't consider that a good trade. If I'm risking, 10 to make 20 or 30, I consider that, good risk reward, especially if I know that they're not going to trade below the level that I'm entering at. Then my risk is assessed and I know what to expect out of that trade. So that's all I have to show for today. Are there any questions? This would be a moment. Otherwise, I do record these sessions and we do put them up on the website, so you'll have access to them, on the blog. Give it about 2-3 days before we actually put the video up, so you can review it and go back to it. No, thank you for showing up. And that's basically all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great week. And for those of you that I am training, we will continue your training tomorrow afternoon so that we can get you guys all ready to start trading and set up. See, this is why I didn't want to take this trade, because at the high, I was afraid that it would get there and pull right back down. Sort of an unmotivated trade, not really motivated for it. Well, listen, thank you very much. Have a great week. Look forward to seeing you. And again, if you have any questions, if you don't have my email, you should, but I will write it down right here so that you can get a hold of me. Put that down. Give it a minute. Oops, sorry, it's Ricardo, not Ricardo 2, just Ricardo. I apologize for that. Ricardo at Phoenix Trading Strategies.com. And if you want to talk to me, you can reach me either through Skype. My Skype name is Ricardo. That is my Skype name, or you can give me a call. And today I will be busy from within the next hour and a half. I'll be busy for another. I'm free, but after that, I'm going to be busy for about 2 hours, so I will not be answering calls. But you can send me a text as well on that number. Thank you very much. Have a great, great trading week. Bye-bye now.